Sorry about that. Hope everyone managed to get a good stretch and a glass of water during the short surprise break. Yeah, Nuzulia, you were in the middle of introducing yourself, so if you don't mind, just to give a recap of yourself.
Okay, thank you, Mr. T. Okay, I will continue. Aside from work, I also am very passionate about sustainability. So I try to create awareness about sustainability, especially because I work for the energy sector. I try to promote the usage of renewable energy and also the importance of energy transition. But aside from that, I also am a firm believer for the women empowerment. So I try to be a content creator for the women in energy platform in Indonesia. So I think that's really it about me. And moving on to the YSEALI Academy webinar, I think the seminar has been really given me a value of practical learning, because we are not only asked to listen for the lectures and also read the materials, but we are encouraged to really get immersed to the discussion after the session. And I think that is one session that is really meaningful in YSEALI webinar, because we can get the perspective from other fellows also. They can really share what's going on with their work and what are the challenges related to the topics of the lecture itself. And they can really share that they experience too, because we are all fellows. So we are all having a certain kind of projects and also values that we are currently facing related to the topic. And I think the discussion really gives me a rich perspective and also rich knowledge about the topics itself, rather than just listening to the lecture. Aside from that, I also gain a very comprehensive understanding about diversity, because my seminar back then was very diverse. The participants come from different ages, genders, and also a different expertise also. So we are, during the discussion, there are many rich and different knowledge that I can really get from the lecture and also from the discussion. So I think that's a really great experience from YSEALI Academy.
Thanks for sharing. And you mentioned like a core part was you interacting with fellows from different countries and from a diverse set of background. And my question is, for the fellows that are gonna join us in the entrepreneurship seminar, I mean, do you have any advice on how they can make the best or the most of the experience, with the focus on how they can interact with one another to really get the most of it in terms of professional, but also personal growth?
Sure. Probably because the seminar will be held virtually, there are some challenges such as we cannot be like present with each other, we cannot like physically interact. But I think the one thing that the future applicants have to really prepare is communication, because for building a relationship with this virtual platform, we have to really able to communicate with each other and also be present in each and every agendas of the YSEALI webinar. Try to enjoy the process and don't worry about the technical things very much. I'm saying that this YSEALI Academy webinar can give you a really much a way of learning, be it from the lecture and also from each other. So I'm encouraging you to just keep communicating and interacting with each other. And then I'm pretty sure that this will be a very great milestone and experience for you.
Thanks, Nuzulia. And a lot of our potential applicants are concerned with how they can craft like a compelling application. And it seems to me in your case, like you already brought on board a lot of the leadership qualities already needed before you apply. But what is it that you can say to potential and future applicants on how they can craft a compelling application and showcase their strength during the application process?
Well, my my only suggestion is to be passionate, because by being passionate, I'm sure you can bring a lot of things to your application, and usually the passion translates itself in your writings. And as the readers, we can really feel how and why you should join this webinar. And also be courageous, because one of my teammates from the previous webinar comes from the media, that she has not have any experience in energy or public policy sector before. She just worked for the media and press, but she is really passionate about learning about the public policy sector and also energy sector. She has a big passion to learn, and she really appeals to that in her application. And I think the YSEALI webinar has a really diverse backgrounds of applicants, so you can really find the experienced one and also the beginners one, and that doesn't matter, because in here we are all learning and discussing with each other. And I'm sure that you can bring something to this webinar, and that I think you can bring that on your application.
Cool. Yeah, very inspiring words, Nuzulia. Thank you so much for your time. And we look forward to seeing how your career grows, and look forward to having you in the YSEALI family and hoping to meet you in person at some point.
Sure, thank you.
All right. So now it's your time, audience, to ask your questions. These are just some key dates. You can scan the QR code and start your applications or finish them. And yeah, we are open for questions. All right, so our question is, do we have specific themes for the hackathon? So broadly speaking, the themes I presented are healthcare, education, and food and sustainability. So very broad topics. And the specific problems you will have to define actually yourself in the teams. There are different ways to go about this, but typically what we have is team leaders pitching problem statements, and then the crowd will just vote whichever problem they most feel passionate about, and then the teams form organically during the hackathon. So the problems will definitely emerge during the hackathon based on your background and the teams that you feel most organically relatable to. Yeah, how do you form teams in hackathon? So essentially, just I mentioned, first of all, there will be some sort of randomization process where you just get in random teams, and people can then pitch problems, and then the teams can dynamically associate, and then ultimately, teams will solidify within the first day, typically in a hackathon, that are then working on a very defined problem over the course of the 2 weeks. Oh, question to Nuzulia. Do you have any tips on writing essays for the seminar? Go ahead, Nuzulia.
Okay, well, my tips is you probably can find one larger ideas that you can really connect with all of your essays, so that it really shows your passion, and it really connects the story together into a compelling personality. Because through those essays, like the YSEALI Academy webinar will be able to really know you better as an applicant. And I think it will distinguish you from other applicants too, by giving that the redlining between your essays. Try to not like overthinking about any of the not unnecessary stuff. Just really get really focused and really find the the redlining between your essays, so that you can tell a better story.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. I agree with Nuzulia. If you're passionate and if you're crafting a really compelling story that you care about the societal problem and how you have showcased leadership in the past, that's usually what really convinces me. I don't care too much about spelling or grammar or command of language, as long as you can show that you are passionate. And by show, I mean show, not tell. It's not enough for you to just write, I'm passionate. But if you can support that with some sort of evidence in your past, that is usually what really wins me over. Cool. Next question. Is it possible to switch teams during the hackathon if I find others more interesting? So there will be a dynamic beginning phase where you can define your teams, and you can kind of like interact with people, see which team you gel with. But we expect that after day one, you're supposed to commit to your teams. And in any startup, you have to commit to a mission, to a team, to really create impact. So after some beginning hustling, you should be committing for the rest of the seminar to one team. The ideal participant of the seminar. Yeah, I can start, and maybe Nuzulia, you can also chime in on this. Honestly, the ideal participant is someone who's extremely open-minded, who's kind, who's a good communicator, as much as a good listener, because you'll have people on different backgrounds, different beliefs, different commands of language. You will disagree on things. And so we want to have people who are kind, empathetic, but also are very communicative. And that means not just being agreeable, but also in a case where you're not agreeing, especially in a hackathon, it can get quite heated, that you can demonstrate an ability to convey criticism in a constructive and empathetic way. Yeah, Nuzulia, you may want to add something to that because you've been a fellow.
Yes, I just want to add one thing. You have to be able to accept the challenge, because I think by joining YSEALI Academy webinar, the kind of learning that you will get is kind of different with the traditional way of learning. In here, you might get more practical. You might be getting into a lot of discussions and a lot of exchanging ideas. And I believe that if you are ready to take the challenge in every agendas of the YSEALI webinar, then you can get like an extensive way of learning. And that is a really rich investment for your future career.
Great, thanks. And next question is, okay, is it possible to find investors in joining the seminar? So the clear answer is, it's not our goal that the winners will directly get investment. That's not the scope of the seminar. It's to provide training. However, we're working on a prize that will allow you essentially to take your idea further in a context where you have access to investors. So within the 2 weeks, in this framework, we'll not be able to build business cases that are detailed and convincing enough to have right-away decisions on whether we or anyone else can invest in your ideas, but we will provide the network for you to take your ideas further in a context where you can raise. And more details you will get essentially when you're on board, and we'll provide more details. What makes this seminar different from other entrepreneurship and training programs? So I think we're one of the few, if not the first one, that does this in an ASEAN and context. So there are not so many that I'm aware of that really tries to bridge the cultures that are present in ASEAN. And so that's what makes us unique. And what makes us unique is also something that we need to define as we go along. We're young, and we want to define what makes us unique together with you, with your feedback, with your professional backgrounds. And usually uniqueness comes from diversity. So whatever your background is and your story is, we encourage you to share it with us and to apply. And that way you can really help us create a unique ecosystem going forward. Great. All right, so I'm seeing from IT that there are no more questions, at least as of now. Please go ahead and apply. If you have other questions, you can reach us via email, and we look forward to reading your essays, and we look forward to meeting you and interacting with you in the seminar. And I also like to thank again Nuzulia and Vo Duy Anh for joining me in this webinar, and wishing you all good health, and have a good night or good day, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.